I always believed the scariest thing you could find in your husband's belongings was a message from another woman. I was wrong. The scariest thing is finding out he's not your husband at all. Not legally. Not officially. Not by name. Not by identity. Not by truth. But I didn't know that at first. I didn't suspect anything the night it began. It was raining, not dramatically, not violently, just the soft kind of rain that makes the world feel blurred. We were sitting on the couch together, my legs draped over his. He was warm, relaxed, smiling at the movie like he wasn't hiding anything. His name, the one I thought belonged to him, was Evan Carter. But that night, his phone lit up with a notification. A banking app. A deposit alert under a different name. Deposit complete for Michael L. Hartwell. I blinked at it. He didn't. He just tilted the phone away casually, like he was adjusting brightness. But something inside me had already shifted, a tiny click of dread, the kind you don't feel unless you're in danger and don't know it yet. I told myself I imagined what I saw. People share accounts. People use middle names. People have joint businesses. Normal explanations. But my heart knew better. Because earlier that month, I'd asked him about life insurance paperwork, and he'd brushed it off with that soft half-smile he uses when he doesn't want to be questioned. It's all filled out, babe. Don't worry. But he'd never shown me. Never handed me a document with his signature. Never let me see anything official. And now, a different name. He didn't know I saw the notification. But he noticed something else, my silence. "You okay?" he asked without looking away from the movie. My voice sounded borrowed. "Yeah. Just tired." His fingers traced my leg lazily. "Don't overthink things, Mia." I froze. He said that often. Almost too often. But that night, the words felt heavier. Like instructions. Like a warning. I went to bed early, leaving him on the couch. He kissed my forehead, smelled like cedarwood and warmth, whispered goodnight, and everything seemed normal. Normal. But the moment his footsteps faded, I opened my laptop. Something in me, the quiet, frightened part, whispered, "Search his name." So I typed it in. Evan Carter. Thousands of results. Too many. The name was everywhere, generic, repetitive, impossible to trace. It wasn't a man's life, it was a placeholder. A name so plain, so empty, it could belong to anyone. Or no one. I checked public records. Marriage records. Tax filings. Nothing. Not one trace of him before 5 years ago. No addresses. No employment history. No digital footprint. It was like he didn't exist. My heartbeat felt too loud. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Maybe the search was broken. Then I typed the other name, the one on the deposit notification. Michael L. Hartwell. My stomach dropped. Matches everywhere. Mortgage documents. Old employment records. A property in another state. A restraining order filed 8 years ago. And a marriage record. My vision blurred. Married. 7 years ago. Not to me. I clicked the record with shaking fingers. Her name was listed beside his. Spouse, Lydia Hartwell. I pressed my hand to my mouth. Lydia. A name I didn't know. A woman I'd never seen. A marriage I was never told about. A past he insisted he never really had. I closed my laptop so fast it snapped. My breathing was sharp and uneven. This wasn't small. This wasn't some forgotten detail from his past. This wasn't a misunderstanding. He had been married before. Under a different name. A name he hid. A life he hid. A wife he hid. And he didn't just change his name. He erased himself. I climbed back into bed. Not because I wanted to sleep, but because I needed to act normal. I didn't know who I was married to. I didn't know what he was capable of. I didn't know if he could hear me pacing or crying or typing. I didn't know if he would hear me breathing too loudly. When he finally walked into the bedroom, I pretended to be asleep. He slid into bed behind me, wrapped his arm around my waist, and whispered into my hair. "You always feel tense when you lie." I stopped breathing. He kissed my shoulder, slow and gentle. Then, "Good night, Mia." I didn't sleep. Not even for a second. Mia discovers something inside his wallet that proves Evan Carter isn't just a fake name. It's a role he practiced long before he met her. When I opened his wallet the next morning, it felt like a test I was taking without studying. I hadn't planned to look. You don't rifle through your husband's things unless something breaks you open from the inside. But I woke up at 3, unable to swallow sleep, and there it was, on the kitchen counter where he'd left it after fumbling for keys. The rain had stopped. The house smelled like wet pavement and coffee. He was still in bed, world quiet and safe-seeming. I told myself 100 times to put it down. To make coffee. To go back to bed and pretend last night's flicker of doubt was only a bad dream. But my hands moved as if they had a memory of their own. The wallet was leather, soft, the kind that holds onto the shape of a person's life. I slid the billfold open gently, not a thief, but someone who needed truth like air. There it was. The driver's license, Evan Carter. Pale photo, his smile smaller there, younger. I swallowed. Under it, tucked behind the insurance card, was a sticky note torn from a legal pad. His handwriting, tight, deliberate. "Do not search Michael. Remember, play the part. Tonight she finds out, you step back." My fingers went numb. Play the part. Step back. Tonight she finds out? My pulse ricocheted. I read the note again, slower, hoping the letters would rearrange themselves into something less sinister. They didn't. They locked into place like nails. I imagined a scene, ridiculous and sharp, of him in front of a mirror practicing names. Evan. 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 A rehearsal. A costume change. A man who didn't sleep in his own skin. The house was quiet except for the kettle beginning to hum. He shuffled into the kitchen, hair mussed, eyes bleary. He poured coffee without looking at me. He kissed my cheek with a tenderness that suddenly felt staged. "You're awake early," he said. "Couldn't sleep," I lied. My words felt small. He handed me a mug. His fingers brushed mine. For a moment, I wanted to believe the warmth was enough to burn away doubt. I wanted to be the kind of woman who forgives a single lie. But this felt different. This felt like an entire life built on a lie. "Big meeting today?" I asked, voice steady. "Yeah," he said. "Important one. Don't worry." He never said "don't worry" like that unless he wanted me not to worry. The phrase had become a barrier between us, a polite demand to stop asking. I wanted to tear that barrier down. When he left, I followed a small electric impulse. I took a photo of the sticky note with my phone and then I put the wallet back, exactly where it had been. Evidence is different from accusation. Evidence is just the world as it is. I didn't know what I would do with it. I just knew I needed more. All day at work I felt like a ghost moving through someone else's life. My coworkers talked deadlines and clients and lunch. I smiled at them and gave answers I'd rehearsed. Inside, the space where certainty used to sit had been hollowed out. At noon my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Don't confront him tonight." Not without proof. No name. No signature. Just the text. My throat closed around a question. Who would text that? Him? A co-conspirator? A ghost? I typed back, hands trembling, "Who is this?" The reply came fast. "Someone who was once the same." My skin pricked. The words felt like ice. The rest of the day blurred. I went home early. The streets were wet, a pale sun trying to burn through a gray. He wasn't back yet. The house smelled faintly of bergamot from the candle he liked. The wallet lay where I'd returned it, innocent. I sat on the couch and stared at it as if it might whisper its own confession. When he walked in, he carried a manila envelope. He set it on the table, slid off his jacket, and for the first time in days I saw an edge in him that wasn't practiced charm. He moved like someone who had rehearsed being casual for years and finally forgot the choreography. "Delivery from the firm," he said. He opened the envelope and pulled out a thick packet, legal-looking, embossed. They finally sent the finalized paperwork. My heart stuttered. It felt like a beat borrowed from someone else. He handed me a sheet. "This is the contract," he said. "The last signatures for the property transfer." He watched me watch it, unblinking. I looked at the signature printed at the bottom. M.L. Hartwell. The initials were neat. The name I had uncovered in the records glared back at me in black type. "Is that your?" I started, and then stopped. The question was too big to form. He smiled like he always did when a corner of the truth was about to be folded neatly away. "It's just paperwork," he said. "Old holdings." I consolidated the accounts under a new name for simplicity. "For simplicity," I echoed. The phrase tasted of dismissal. Why the fake name then? Why the sticky note? His face hardened for a second and then softened like a practiced scene change. "You're reading too many novels," he said. "Those notes are for me. They're reminders. Work stuff. You know how my memory is when I'm stressed." He reached for my hand. His touch was warm, grounding. For a terrible second, I wanted to take his word like a lifeline. I wanted to be the wife who believed nothing could shake the man she loved. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. "Don't let him gaslight you." This one felt like a punch. I looked up at him, and the room tilted. He held my gaze with an intensity that felt like a trap. "What does that mean?" I asked quietly. He smiled a little too warmly. Mia, you worry too much. Am I worrying too much about who I married? There was a beat. The way a conductor holds a bar before the orchestra erupts. He folded his hands and fixed me with that half-smile. You married the man who loves you, he said. Not the names on documents. We all have pasts. I wanted privacy. That's all. He left the sentence there like a brick wall. I wanted to ask more, to demand answers, to tear open that wall and crawl inside. But the house felt suddenly crowded, with secrets, with deliberate silences, with someone else's memories living in the walls. That night, when we sat down to dinner, he lit a candle and poured wine and talked about stupid trivia like a man who thinks normalcy can be staged. At one point he laughed, a sound that belonged to someone else's happiness, and I had the absurd thought that he had practiced that laugh in front of a mirror. Between bites I blurted, "Who was Lydia Hartwell?" A silence like glass shattered the room. He froze. His fork hovered midair. The candle's flame jittered as the air shifted. I don't know what you mean, he said slowly. The marriage record, I pressed. Michael L. Hartwell, spouse, Lydia Hartwell. It's public. His jaw tightened. I think you should stop digging online, Mia, he said, voice low. The internet manufactures monsters. People write things. Mistakes happen. He looked tired. Vulnerable. And for a moment I saw a man who seemed genuinely afraid. Why would a man use two names? I whispered. He set down his fork with deliberate care. Lots of reasons, he said. Legal, tax, business. Maybe he had a bad divorce. Maybe he changed his name when he started over. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, the question simple but enormous. He looked at me with something like pity, tired of small marital quarrels. Because it didn't matter. Because it wasn't relevant to us. It matters to me, I said. My voice cracked. It matters to my life. To what we built. He inhaled slowly, the way a man counts out words before laying them down. Mia, he said softly, I've told you everything that matters. I love you. I chose you. Why do you need more? The room pressed in. The candle smoked. Outside, a car passed, its lights painting the window like a fleeting truth. At that moment, my phone vibrated again, a final message from that unknown number. If you want the truth, come to 18 Willow Lane at midnight. Bring the sticky note. I stared at the screen. The street name was unfamiliar. My heart thudded a dangerous rhythm. He watched me. For a breath, his eyes looked like a man who might do anything to protect himself, even if it meant manipulating the woman beside him into silence. Don't go, he said before I could speak. The words were a plea and an order all at once. Don't meet strangers. I closed my eyes, feeling both a child and a detective. Which one would I be when the clock struck 12? Because the truth, whatever it was, had a date with me. And I had a choice. Mia goes to Willow Lane at midnight. She meets someone who knows the full story about Michael L. Hartwell, and that meeting will change everything. Midnight always feels like a choice. Not a time, a decision. I told myself a dozen times I shouldn't go. That I was being dramatic. That I should just wait until morning, confront him gently, let the truth unfold like a slow confession. But something inside me already knew. Evan wouldn't confess anything. Not unless forced. Not unless trapped. Not unless exposed. So at 11:47 p.m., I grabbed my phone, the sticky note, my jacket, and quietly stepped outside. The night was cold enough to bite. The street was empty, every house asleep, unaware that someone's marriage was breaking open like a wound. 18 Willow Lane was 6 minutes away. I walked fast. Every shadow felt aware. Every passing car felt like an observer. Every sound felt like a secret shifting in the dark. When I reached the house, it was quiet, a single-story bungalow with peeling paint and a porch light that flickered like it was shivering. The message didn't say to knock. Didn't say to wait. So I stood there, heart hammering, breath fogging, unsure if I was here to save myself or destroy everything. Then the front door opened. A woman stepped out. She didn't look shocked to see me. She didn't ask who I was. She didn't hesitate or retreat. She simply said, "You're Mia." Her voice was calm, heavy with knowing. She was older than me. Maybe early 40s. Pretty in a tired, dignified way. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun. A thin sweater wrapped around her shoulders even though it was too cold for it. But I recognized something instantly, the way she carried a sadness she had learned to live with. "Who are you?" I whispered. She stepped aside. "Come in." I didn't want to go inside. I didn't want to see whatever waited for me in that house. But I walked in anyway. The living room was dim, lit only by a small lamp. There were boxes stacked against the walls. Piles of documents. Folders. A corkboard covered in strings and notes like someone was tracking a criminal or connecting timelines. And at the center of the board was a photo of Michael L. Hartwell. My husband. But not Evan. Not the man I married. Not the man who kissed me goodnight. A different version of him, younger, sharper, more dangerous looking. Something in his eyes looked wrong. Like a storm brewing behind glass. The woman followed my gaze. "That's him," she said. My mouth went dry. "Who are you?" I repeated. She met my eyes. "I'm Lydia." Every part of my body froze. His first wife. The one from the marriage record. The one he never told me existed. The one he erased. My voice cracked. "You're alive?" She nodded once, though the word alive felt too generous. She was breathing, yes. But she looked like someone who had mourned parts of herself long before tonight. "I thought," he said. I stopped. I didn't know what he said. Because he never said anything. He just hid. "I know what he told you," Lydia whispered. Or rather, what he didn't. She gestured to the couch. I sat. She didn't. She paced slowly, rubbing her arms. "You must be terrified," she said. I was too. At first. At first? I whispered. She nodded. "I know you found out. The names. The documents. The identity shift. That's why you're here. How do you know what I found?" She exhaled shakily. "Because I found the same things. In the same order. With the same disbelief. You're not the first woman he married under a new name. My heart constricted. There were others, she added softly. The room tilted. Oh, others? I repeated. She looked at me with the kind of sadness that feels like a warning. He changes his name every few years. He changes his entire life. New job, new identity, new habits, new version of himself. He becomes exactly who you want. He studies you, mirrors you, creates comfort before extracting everything he needs. I blinked, breath shaking. No, that's not my husband. She stared at me with pity. That's what I said too. My hands trembled. What did he want from you? I asked. She didn't answer right away. She walked over to the corkboard, tracing a line of red thread between two dates. When I met him, she said, he was kind, attentive, soft-spoken. He listened to all my fears, all my dreams. He became the man I needed, until the moment he didn't need me. What happened? He dismantled me, she whispered. Piece by piece. Emotionally. Financially. Legally. Until I had nothing I could hold on to except the memory of the man he pretended to be. I swallowed. And then? And then, she said, he left. Left everything behind. And became someone else. Evan, I whispered. Yes, she said quietly. Evan Carter. The man who married you. Under a new name. What did he change after you? I asked, voice barely audible. She pointed to photos on the wall. It was a timeline. Different versions of him. Different haircuts. Different clothing styles. Different jobs. Different names. One constant, she said. He chooses women who are kind-hearted, empathetic, loyal. Women who won't question him until it's too late. My throat tightened painfully. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Because, she said, walking toward me, you're not just his next wife. You're his next exit plan. I stared at her, breathing fast. What does that mean? Her expression changed, softened, but horrified. It means he doesn't leave until he has what he needs, she said. Money. Documents. Access. Reputation. My stomach dropped. What has he taken from me? She hesitated. Not everything, she said. Not yet. Not yet. The words felt like cold hands around my ribs. But he will, Lydia continued. He always does. Unless you stop him before he disappears. He wouldn't disappear, I whispered. Not without saying. She cut me off sharply. He left me while I was at work. He changed phones, names, addresses, everything, in a single day. And I never saw him again. I stared at her, everything inside me sinking. Why did he leave you? I asked. Slowly, Lydia sat beside me. Her voice barely a breath. Because I asked the wrong question, she said. The same question you asked tonight. My blood chilled. What question? She looked at me with tragic certainty. Who are you really? The room felt heavier. The air thick. I finally whispered, why me? Why now? Lydia's eyes filled with fear. Because it's happening again, she whispered. He always leaves once the wife starts noticing inconsistencies. I felt like the floor was dissolving beneath me. Do you know what he's planning? I asked. Lydia nodded slowly. Yes. Tell me, I begged. She closed her eyes. He's preparing to vanish again. And Mia, this time. Her voice broke. This time, he isn't planning to leave alone. Mia learns what Lydia means, that he isn't planning to disappear by himself this time. And what he wants to take with him is far worse than money. There are moments in a marriage when a single sentence rearranges everything you thought was true. When Lydia said, "This time he isn't planning to leave alone," the words landed like a hand on my throat. For an absurd second, I let the worst possible images run through my head: him running down the street with a suitcase, a woman at his side, a cheap smile. That would be awful. That would be betrayal. That would be trashy, human, containable. But Lydia's face had none of the cheap cliché. Her eyes were bleak with something more precise, a map of damage. Not alone meant strategy. It meant planning. It meant he had someone inside the house already. Someone who knew the routines, knew where the keys hid, who could disappear with him into a life that had always been practiced and rehearsed. I remember that night in detail because everything after that felt like a slow-motion collapse: the lamp's light, the ticking clock, Lydia's voice folding into the margins of the room as she spoke. "He's been preparing for this," she said. "For years. He always has." I asked the question before I could think myself out of it. Preparing to take what? She tapped the corkboard. Pins and threads connected forms, receipts, names. A folder lay on the coffee table between us. On top, a plain manila envelope labeled in block letters, "Exit Plan." Her hand didn't shake when she pushed it toward me. "Open it." The things inside the folder read like the blueprint of a vanishing act. Transfer authorizations for 2 bank accounts, pre-filled, signed under M.L. Hartwell. A notarized power of attorney granting Michael L. Hartwell control over joint accounts if Evan is temporarily indisposed. A stack of airline reservations, 2 one-way tickets, same departure date, one for M. Hartwell, one for a woman listed as Nora Fields, age 28. A copy of a forged document, a guardianship assignment in case of sudden incapacity, naming Michael L. Hartwell as responsible party. Emails to an accomplice with subject lines like, Phase 3, Extraction and Ensure Access to Safe. My fingers felt numb, as if numbed by cold rather than fear. Nora Fields. The name jumped off the paper like it had claws. 28. Adult. Not a child. But close. Too visible. He's been building contingency, Lydia said. He needs someone who'll go if he goes. Someone who can sign, who can set things in motion. Someone who will stand in front of banks, lawyers, and say his scripted lines. Why would Nora help him? I asked. How does he get people to be part of it? She grooms them, Lydia said. Not like romance novels, subtly. A compliment here. A promise there. He makes them feel like they're part of something important. Replacement companions. Co-conspirators. Wives in waiting. When she said it, I thought of the barista at the cafe, of his friendly smiles, the way he remembered my order. How carefully he'd watched me. How practiced he was at being seen. A tight panic pressed at my chest. Does he have everything he needs? She slid a thin USB drive across the table. He's been saving copies. Backups. Everything. If he runs, he wants the house, the accounts, and the paper trail to say he did it legally. To make it look like she, like I, was the one who couldn't keep things together. My stomach rolled. Make it look like me? She nodded. He engineers narratives. He records private conversations. He stages situations where the wife looks unstable. He leaves evidence of neglect or anger. He knows lawyers, accountants, people who don't ask too many questions. If he can make you look paranoid, then he can declare you unfit to manage assets. And once the legal team hands control to Hartwell, he can walk. A prickling rage flickered in me, raw and useless. He wouldn't get away with that. Maybe not, Lydia agreed. But he doesn't need to get away clean. He needs chaos under him so he has a moment to slip through. He's always preferred smoke to fight through. 1,000 tiny threads connected in my head. The sticky note. The power phrases, play the part, step back. The camera in the guest room I once imagined was a surveillance paranoia now fit into a ledger, a plan, a purpose. What about Nora? I asked again. Where is she now? She's probably closer than you think, Lydia said. He doesn't recruit people by distance. He recruits them by availability, someone who's lonely, someone who wants to belong, someone he can mold. Someone with an address and a bank account. He may even be training her to say the right things, or she's already saying them. I thought of the barista. Of his hands. Of little kindnesses that footprint like breadcrumbs. Did Nora have a smile that came too fast? Did she hang on his words like a lifeline? Lydia reached into another folder and pulled out an email thread with attachments. He's been coordinating. Payments. Small ones at first. Then larger transfers. Gifts. Hotels. Meetups. He wants the right paper trail to justify a woman's presence. She tapped the airline reservation. This is scheduled for 3 days from now. He's timed it with a property closing. My throat tightened until talking felt like a wrong thing to do. A property closing. Transfer documents. The quiet architecture of theft. He's trying to make it an act of timing, Lydia said. Get in, get control, get out, before someone notices the pattern. Which is why he warned me, don't meet strangers. Don't go to Willow Lane. Because he wants to control how I learn. He wants to control my path to the truth so he can frame it later. What can we do? I asked, my voice small and brittle. Lydia didn't hesitate. We start by getting copies. Evidence. We document everything. We get a lawyer to look at these documents. We freeze accounts if we can. But most importantly, you don't go home tonight without proof. Proof. The word was solid. It felt like a weapon. We made a list with the clumsy efficiency of people building a raft, passwords to change, bank branches to visit, who to call for legal advice. Lydia insisted I leave my phone behind so I wouldn't be traced. If he has people listening, she said, we can't give him a GPS. At 2:13 a.m. I stood outside my house with Lydia in my car, my keys heavy in my fist, the sticky note burned into the back of my retina. The idea of entering my own kitchen felt obscene now, like stepping into another person's scene. We moved instead to the law firm Lydia trusted, one with a night phone for emergencies. The lawyer was incredulous, then methodical. He told us what we already suspected: change passwords, freeze the accounts, file for an emergency injunction if any assets began to move. But there were limits. Banks take time. Judges take longer. Timing is everything with people like him, the lawyer said bluntly. He creates windows. Exploits deadlines. You won't stop him from initiating something tonight if his paperwork is already in motion. But you can make the aftermath harder to do quickly. We left with a list of documents to grab: photocopies of deeds, copies of my marriage certificate, any proof of financial co-ownership. Lydia drove me back to our street at dawn because the sun makes things look ordinary again, and ordinary can be used as camouflage. I crept into the house in a way I'd never imagined myself creeping, not a thief stealing from a stranger, but a woman trying to take back her life quietly. The house smelled like the night before: cedarwood, coffee, and something else that felt like rehearsal, a faint trace of perfume that wasn't mine. On the coffee table, between his laptop and a stack of takeout menus, sat his passport. I picked it up with a guilty reverence and flipped to the photo page. Michael L. Hartwell. He had been Hartwell when he applied for passports. Hartwell when he booked flights. Evan when he slept beside me. My hands shook as I photographed the passport and slid it back into place. I opened his laptop and found a folder named Transfer visible on the desktop. I tried not to think about the line of code I'd seen earlier: Phase 3, extraction. I printed what I could: quick, clumsy prints of account numbers, of the email to Nora that said simply, "Be ready. Midnight to leave is best." The house felt impossibly loud. I filled my bag and shut the door without making a sound. The lock clicked and felt like a small victory. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You shouldn't have done that. My breath stalled. My entire body went hot with cold. Before I could answer, the front door opened behind me. He stood there. Evan. Michael. Hartwell. All names folded into the man who smiled and made me tea. He looked at me with the casual expression of a man who believes himself untouchable. You left the kettle on, he said mildly. I looked at the bag in my hand and the papers spilling from it. He sighed, not angry, not surprised. Calm. Did you meet someone? He asked softly, as if he were the one betrayed. A siren of panic began to scream at the edges of my mind. What do you mean? I said, fingers finding the sticky note like a talisman. He stepped forward a fraction, closing the distance. Don't play games, Mia. You have to stop. This will only make things worse. Worse for who? I asked, the words thin and sharp. He smiled with a weariness that read like affection, the kind of smile he used when he wanted me to forget he'd ever wanted anything but my good. For both of us, he said. At that moment Lydia's voice trembled in my phone's last text, do not go alone. I was not alone. But I was in the middle of a plan that had been made for me without my consent. The question was no longer whether he would leave. It was whether he would take everything with him, and whether anyone would notice fast enough to stop him. He knows I have proof. He knows I met Lydia. He acts calm, too calm. In part 5, Mia confronts him, and what he says will either break her or free her, He reveals the full reason he became Michael L. Hartwell. When he closed the door behind him that morning, he didn't slam it. He made sure it clicked softly, polite, measured, like the rest of his life. You learn the music of someone's temperament by listening to the way they close doors. His had always been calm, controlled, a metronome of small courtesies. That morning the rhythm was a threat. He looked at me as if we were having the most ordinary conversation possible, the kind of face people use to cover what's underneath. "You shouldn't have done that," he said. Not angry. Not surprised. Just stating a fact. "I went to see Lydia," I replied. My voice felt foreign to my own ears, steady in the way I'd rehearsed it 100 times on the drive home. He nodded slowly, as if approving a grade. "And what did she tell you?" "The truth," I said. He smiled then, small, practiced, and for a beat my stomach loosened as if I'd been forgiven before I'd been judged. The smile wasn't warmth. It was appraisal. As if he were watching a student solve a problem. "Right," he said. "Truth. Dangerous word. We don't always want the truth. We want solutions." "Solutions?" I echoed. "Yes. The truth is an engine," he said. "It drives decisions. You want to know why I became what I am? Fine. I'll tell you. But listen carefully. Don't interrupt. This is how I explain myself." He sat down at the table slowly, folding his hands like a man settling into a confession he'd rehearsed. Something about the way he arranged himself made my skin crawl. He had the posture of someone about to deliver a lecture, the way a professor explains a moral paradox to a class. It should have made me walk away. Instead, I sat. Because misunderstanding doesn't die of distance, it dies of examination. He breathed and began. "My father wasn't a bad man in the traditional sense," he said quietly. "He was a man who ran away from things. He left when I was small. Not because he didn't love, because he was terrified of failing. He saw responsibility as a trap. So he avoided it. He made himself small and transient." I could feel the room rearrange. People tell origin stories to steer sympathy. I kept that in my mind and kept quiet. When someone sees the world as a place where being tied down equals being broken, you learn to avoid the trap. You learn to build exits before you build a life. He looked at me without bitterness, a neutral explanation, and in the way he said it I heard no apology. Only reasoning. "So you decided to plan your exits," I said. He smiled faintly. "I decided not to be powerless. There are two choices when life is unfair: accept that you are a victim forever, or take control. I chose control. You chose a strategy that destroys people," I said. "You make yourself a predator and call it survival." "Words," he said. "Harsh, moral words. But what do? They punish people. They don't solve anything. There is a craft to gaslighting that people never mention in the articles. It's the soft, steady hum of logic that pulls a victim's moral outrage into a room where it sounds flimsy." He spoke in parables and causes, and somewhere between his sentences I felt the urgency of my own anger leak away as if sand slipping through fingers. "You read about me 2 nights ago," he continued. "You saw records. You saw names. You saw something you should not have seen, and you made it a danger. But danger is only danger when you don't know how to manage it. Manage it? I asked. How do you manage a life you steal from someone else? He reached across the table and placed his hand near mine, not touching, only suggesting. The word you use, steal, assumes malice with no survival. I'm not a monster. I'm a survivor. I create options. I create paths out. If someone else's life creates a bridge for me, then I use it. Better to be pragmatic than to be ruined. The sentence was clean and vicious. He went on, and with every clause he stripped away a little of the outrage until it looked, temporarily, like cold arithmetic. Think of it like a business, he said. You can be sentimental about assets, or you can be factual. People who cling to sentiment lose those assets. People who plan keep them. I learned to plan. I watched his throat move. The man I'd married, the man who shared my pillow and remembered to call my mother on her birthday, spoke like an analyst now, a person talking about supply chains, not souls. You once told me you loved me, I said. You told me you wanted a family. He leaned back. I choose relationships like others choose careers. I select partnerships with the potential for future value. That value isn't merely monetary. It's network, reputation, stability. Feelings are part of the equation, but they aren't the bottom line. Is that why you married me? The question tore from my throat with a bitter edge. Because of my value matrix? He smiled with exhaustion. Partly. Because you are good, yes. Because you're trustworthy by most metrics. Because people trust you and because you were a useful node in the life I was constructing. Hearing it said aloud made my vision blur. Useful node. Network. Construct. His language belonged in corporate memos, not bedrooms. You rehearsed roles, I said. You told me to play the part. Play the part, he said, as if teaching me a note in a song. We perform roles in relationships. If you refuse to participate, you make the performance impossible. The only way to win a play is to act the role convincingly. You asked for authenticity. I delivered something consistent. His words were like silk. They laid over the wound and made it ache differently. He made cruelty sound like competence. You said you'd never hurt me, I whispered. He looked at me in a way I recognized now, with a tiny, clinical fascination. I said I wouldn't hurt you unnecessarily. There's a difference. I'd never need to injure you. But there are collateral damages. Life exacts them. He was trying to make me pity him. Or at least accept him. The most dangerous part of his argument was that he offered the architecture of an apology, explain the cause, own a technical misstep, suggest a path forward. It was disarming. You could have told me, I pushed. You could have asked for consent. He shook his head slowly. Consent is messy. It creates witnesses. It invites intervention. A clean exit is an exit without drama. Besides, would you have let me? Would you have acquiesced? Or would you have asked me to change? I could not risk that. I felt cold. He had made a calculation not just about how to leave, but about how to ensure I would not stop him. You told me not to meet people tonight, I said. You told me don't search Michael. He nodded as if confirming a detail. Little cues. Little warnings. They're part of the choreography. If you ignore a cue, the show ends badly. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Why lay out the strategy like a syllabus? Because, he said softly, I wanted to see how you'd react. When confronted with the plan, would you shut down? Fight? Seek help? Or would you be the kind of asset I can keep? This is the human experiment now, Mia. You are both the subject and the researcher. Then you think I'm a subject? I asked incredulously. I think you are a test of my own hypothesis. Can a planned life coexist with emotional fidelity? Can the two occupy the same house? You prove the model. If you fail, the experiment continues. If you pass, then I have a specimen I can rely on. There was a sick logic to his words. He reduced love to a data point and me to a lab result. I wanted to scream, to call him every name that would make him fold. But rage can be a blunt instrument, and I needed something sharper. I recorded you, I said suddenly. He blinked. For a second only, an almost human flash, something crossed his face. Curiosity? Intrigue? Mild annoyance. You recorded me? He repeated. Yes. I swallowed. When you explained the exit plan documents, when you said play the part, I recorded it. Lydia has transcripts. I have copies. He smiled thinly. Bold. You wanted to practice your confessions, I said. And you practiced them too well. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. You think that will stop me? It might, I said. It will make anyone with half a conscience think twice. He almost laughed. It was a sound too small and brittle to be amusement. You think conscience hearts are universal, he said. But they're not. Not for people who learn to survive by leaving. Those people worship escape, not guilt. You can brand me in a recording, and it will move people's eyebrows. It won't always stop the machine. I felt the edge of panic return, but something else had sharpened inside me, clarity. He'd admitted his motive. He'd walked into the light and described the scaffolding. If he thought he'd win me back by explanation, he misread the way we now stood. I was no longer a soft place to land. I was a woman with a file folder and a burning anger that could be focused. You're underestimating me, I said. You call everything survival. But survival isn't architecture if it destroys what it feeds off. You don't survive by breaking the world around you. You just leave broken things in your wake. He watched me for a long time. I could see the cogs move behind his calm. I imagined him cataloging my response like another data point. Finally, he reached out and picked up a pen. He wrote something on a scrap of paper, quick, precise, then slid it across the table toward me. For the record, he said, I didn't expect you to be so resourceful. Consider this a truce offer. Leave the files with me. Go away. Start over. I'll sign the transfer and we can separate amicably. The offer was familiar, exchange a truth for peace. A buyout. An exit that resembled marriage counseling language. No, I said. That's not an option. He looked disappointed, genuinely, for a breath. Then you force my hand. He stood, voice quiet but resolute. I can make things difficult for you, Mia. I can show people your moments of anger. I can make sure the world doubts your stability. Or we can make this clean. You can leave quietly with money and a clean record. Or you can make it messy. The leverage in his tone was naked and cruel. He was not the only person in the world who could harm reputation. But for the first time since finding the note, I felt something else swell, not fear, but an uncharacteristic defiance. Make your move, I said. But know this, you cannot control who sees, who listens, and who helps me. He studied me then, more carefully than he had in days. I sensed for the first time he was recalibrating, not to win me emotionally, but to win legally, to move the chess pieces to a place beyond the camera. That was when I realized the only way to stop him was not to argue with him but to outmaneuver him. I placed the recorder on the table in front of him, the one Lydia had given me. His eyes flicked to it and then back to me. For a fraction of a second his face softened in a way that looked almost human. Say it, I said. He looked as if he weighed the theatrics. What? He asked. Say the thing you told me earlier. Confess the plan. Say why you use names. Say you made contingency plans, that you intend to take assets and leave. Say it on record. Make it simple. He studied me. There was a pause long enough to be a lifetime. Then, with a small, weary shrug, he complied, not out of contrition, but because he wanted to test my reaction to his confession as much as I wanted his words for proof. I construct lives, he said slowly into the empty room, his voice even and flat. I architect exits. A name is only a door. A marriage is legal structure. If you have assets, I will find the legal and social pathways to take them if I can. I create problems for others because I cannot accept being powerless. It's that simple. His voice was clinical. It made my stomach drop. He had given me everything I needed, the way a man unwittingly provides a map to the place he wants to run. On the recorder the words were clean. On Lydia's phone, the transcript would be neater still. I felt both triumphant and hollow. Confession had come like a gift and a sacrament. He reached for his pen again, folding his hands like a man bracing for the consequences. Now, he said quietly. You have what you want. What will you do with it? I picked up my bag. I had the passport, the emails, the transfers printed and stamped. I had his voice on a recorder. I had Lydia on speed dial and a lawyer who had promised to move fast. I will stop you, I said. And I will make sure others like Lydia are safe. He watched me go to the door. Before I left, he said one last thing in a voice that sounded not like a man pleading, but a scientist stating a conclusion. You'll learn, he whispered, that some people cannot be stopped by anything but time. I closed the door behind me and, for the first time in weeks, walked out of the house not as someone waiting to be surprised, but as someone who had sharpened their own defenses into instruments. Mia has the confession on record. Lydia and the lawyer are in motion. He appears calm, too calm, and hints the game may not end with him alone leaving. There is a sound a person makes when their soul fractures. It isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's quiet, a tiny shift, like a hinge clicking shut on a door you will never reopen again. I heard that sound inside myself when he said, "You were never supposed to know who I am." The morning light bled through the curtains, washing him in soft gold. A beautiful lie wrapped in sunlight. I held my bag against my chest, fingers tight around the documents I'd stolen. My pulse felt like someone shaking a locked door from the inside. "Tell me everything," I whispered. He tilted his head like I had asked what time it was. "Everything?" he repeated gently. "That isn't how we work, Mia." "How we work?" My voice cracked. "We don't work. We never worked. You built a marriage out of scripts and names. Tell me who you really are." He sighed, not dramatic, not guilty, but disappointed, like I'd broken character in a play he'd spent years directing. "My name," he said quietly, "doesn't matter. Names are for people who want to be found." A shiver rolled through my spine. "Why Hartwell?" I asked. His jaw tightened just enough to expose a truth he didn't want to reveal. "Because that name still exists on paper," he said softly. "Because it still has value. Because Lydia couldn't destroy it the way she tried to." "She didn't try to destroy anything," I said. "You broke her." "That's one version," he said with a small smile. "Not the real one." "And Evan?" I pressed. "Who is he?" "Evan Carter is a fantasy," he said. "A ghost I put on like a coat when the weather changes. A version of me that good people trust." "You think you're a good person?" I asked, horrified. "I think I'm adaptable," he said. "And adaptability is survival, Mia." He walked toward me slowly, deliberately, the way a hunter moves when the prey is cornered but unsuspecting. "Do you know why I chose you?" he asked. My breath stilled. "No," I said. "Tell me." "Because you don't quit," he said. "Because you believe the best in people for longer than you should. Because you give second chances. Because you want to fix things, even when they aren't yours to fix." My throat tightened painfully. "You targeted me," I whispered. He smiled softly, as if proud. "I chose you," he corrected. "The way I choose every part of my life, carefully, intentionally, with research." I felt sick. "And Nora?" I whispered. He chuckled. "Nora is nothing. Nora is background. A placeholder. A decoy. She was never meant to stay." My stomach dropped. "You were going to run with her," I said. "No," he said. "She was phase one. A distraction. Someone who signs. Someone who witnesses. Someone who fills a space long enough to make the paperwork look legitimate." "And what was I?" I breathed. He lowered his voice, stepping closer. "You were the endgame." I stumbled back. "The one I could borrow a future from," he said. "Your credibility. Your compassion. Your clean history. The way people trust you at first sight. I needed your life to build something new." "And after?" I whispered. "After you took what you needed?" His silence was the answer. He would have left. He would have erased me. He would have walked out the same way he walked out on Lydia, fast, quiet, efficient, leaving nothing behind but a signature and a lie. My knees felt weak. "You don't even love me," I whispered. He tilted his head, almost pitying. "You're using the wrong word," he said. "Love is unstable. Love compromises strategy. What I feel toward you is respect. Respect." The words scraped against my bones. "You studied me," I said. You rehearsed me. I learned you, he corrected softly. The way you learn a new language when you move to a country you plan to stay in for a while. A while? I repeated. Yes, he said calmly. We weren't meant to be permanent. No one is. Permanence is a myth, Mia. My voice trembled. Then why marry me? Because weddings create legal bonds, he said. And legal bonds create access. The air drained from my lungs like a punctured balloon. Everything had been strategy. The flowers. The vows. The kisses. The promises. The countless nights he held me like I was something fragile. All of it, performance. And what about Lydia? I whispered. Did you love her? His eyes flickered. Lydia wanted permanence, he said simply. And permanence for me is death. A surge of nausea hit me so hard I tasted metal. You destroy people, I said. You take their trust and hollow it out until nothing is left. He didn't flinch. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. Instead, he said something so devastatingly calm I felt the room tilt. I survive, he whispered. The door behind him creaked open. Lydia stepped inside. He stiffened, not surprised, but inconvenienced. Ah, he said quietly, the historian arrives. Lydia's voice was steady. You don't get to do this again. He smiled. You think you stopped me the first time? Lydia held up her phone. I recorded everything, she said. The emails. The documents. And the last 10 minutes of you confessing. His expression fractured, just a flicker, then smoothed. You won't get far with that, he said. You're right, Lydia replied. We won't. She stepped aside. 2 officers walked in behind her. Badges. Handcuffs. Stiff posture of arrest. My breath caught. He turned to me slowly, expression unreadable. You called them? He asked. No, I said. I didn't have to. Lydia lifted her chin. They've been tracking you for months, she said. Your last identity change triggered a federal flag. All they needed was confirmation. He looked at me, not angry, not afraid, but curious. Asking questions, he said quietly. The one thing I knew you'd do eventually. He didn't fight the officers. He didn't protest. He let them cuff him like a man boarding a train he always knew he would take. As they walked him out, he turned his head and looked over his shoulder at me. His smile was small, soft, almost tender. I hope the next name fits better, he whispered. And just like that, he was gone. The door closed. The house exhaled. My knees buckled, and Lydia caught me before I hit the floor. It's over, she said. But she was wrong. Because when I looked down at my phone, the one I thought he hadn't touched, a new message blinked at the top. An unknown number. Names are just doors. He will make a new one. My breath froze. My hands shook. Because the message wasn't from him. It was from someone else. Someone who knew him. Someone who warned me before. Someone who was still out there. And the message wasn't a warning. It was a promise.